Hello everyone and welcome back to another Reddit video. Now, I'll be honest with you, from the jump, this is going to be a bit of a strange Reddit video. I'm currently traveling, so I have no face cam, so this is just going to be a no face cam Reddit video. I'm also extremely tired. It's early in the morning, did not sleep at all last night. That may be linked to the travel, so yeah. This should be an interesting Reddit video, but I wanted to make this because I don't want to have like an extreme amount of time between Reddit videos, you know, because then also the stuff piles up and it's a fun thing to look at least once a month, hopefully more, but at least once a month. So anyway, let's jump into what you post on the Reddit. The Reddit is a place where you can post stuff you want me to see, react to, questions you have, you know, it's a general nice community. Let's just jump into it. Oh, by the way, Warrior, this recommendation from the last video, I did watch Warrior because I really wanted to. See, when I say something's on the list, I'm not always completely lying. So I actually did watch Warrior, and fantastic film. From the perspective of a fan of, you know, the UFC and MMA, it was cool to see a film like in that world. But even just separately, if you don't care at all about MMA, just a great drama, really well acted, cheesy in some good ways, and not too cheesy where it gets too, you know, overbearing. A bit like a Rocky kind of Creed sort of tone. Great film. Really enjoyed it. Okay, from 1 month ago, Paul or Mayweather. So this was before the fight, I'm assuming? Yeah, I mean, obviously I was expecting Floyd Mayweather to win, and he did, despite what Jake Paul may try to tell you. The fight itself was not a great fight. Logan won the first 2 rounds in my opinion, but it was also an element of Floyd letting him and kind of just like getting his you know, reading his opponent as he tends to do. But still, for a YouTuber to win 2 rounds against the arguable GOAT is that's a pretty good thing to stick on your CV. But yeah, and then Floyd basically just beat him up for the rest of the time and they clinched a lot, and you know, it was like I had said going into it, it was a fun thing to see just from like a curiosity perspective, just like what the hell would it look like if Logan Paul was in a ring with Floyd Mayweather. And yeah, the commentary was god-awful. Yeah, I mean, it was a cool thing to see, I guess, but I will not be rewatching that fight anytime soon. BHL, who did the better job of voicing Chick Hicks, Mads Mikkelsen, or Michael Keaton? Did Mads Mikkelsen voice Chick Hicks? That would probably be in Cars 3. When did Mads Mikkelsen voice Chick Hicks? Oh, in the Danish. Oh, okay. I thought he did it in like the actual version in some film. I haven't seen Cars in Danish. Cars was not a film I watched growing up. I watched a lot of kids' movies in Danish growing up. Cars was not one of them, so I can't tell you. I mean, I do love Mads Mikkelsen, but Keaton is probably my favorite part of Cars. Like, I don't know, his performance is so fun. So I guess I'll go with Keaton. Also, because I haven't seen the Mikkelsen. Best 80s, 90s Batman movie. I quite like Returns. I know it's weird and more Burton-y and kind of goes a bit off the rails a little bit. I don't know, I guess 89 is probably the better film, but I remember feeling like Returns, I guess it stuck with me more. It was more like entertaining. I mean, they're both very good for what they are. I genuinely really dislike Batman Forever. I know it has kind of like a cult following and like people have come around more to it and they're like, you know, it's actually a pretty good movie. I don't know. Like, I get you can like it on a so bad it's good level, but I feel like Batman and Robin is for that. I was like, I got a headache watching Batman Forever. But yeah, I'd go with Returns. P.O. Box. Assuming this is asking if I have a P.O. Box. I don't. I remember, like, Smosh used to have that where their fans could send them stuff. I don't. It's kind of a fun idea, but, no, I don't. But if you want to send fan art or something like that, feel free to send it to bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com. I mean, we get fan art for the pod. I don't really, not to be self-deprecating, but I don't really know what you would fan art about, like, about the BHL channel. But hey, if you have something, feel free to send it. What have you seen by Kubrick? Well, funny you should say that. I've seen 2 of his films, I believe. I've seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I've seen A Clockwork Orange quite recently. 2001: A Space Odyssey, genuinely fantastic film. I know a lot of people think it's boring, and I do get that. It's definitely a slow-paced film, and to be fair, I did watch it in 2 parts, so maybe that helped break it up a bit for me. But I don't know, I just found it so immersive, I suppose. There's one scene out in space where they're like fixing something that I was like, okay, yeah, even I'm getting a little bit like, it's a little bit slow. But it really drew me in, and it didn't feel as long as it was with the visual effects and the music and the camera work. It's so atmospheric, and the ending is so fucking weird, but like it's so interesting to think about and try to find the meaning in. And there are some films that I feel do that sort of thing where they try to be ambiguous and weird and different, and it's kind of like just weird for the sake of weird, and it's just like, yeah, you work it out, even though it doesn't really mean much. And like these, they're still like really strange, and you have to really think about it, and you can find your own meaning in it, but it really feels like purposeful. Like it's not just, I mean, duh, it's by like the greatest filmmaker of all time. He's not just gonna throw some random stuff in there. But it was a film I genuinely enjoyed researching afterwards and like reading about and watching videos about, which call me a nerd if you want, but I found that really interesting, like people's different interpretations. Just an excellent film. And A Clockwork Orange, similarly, great film, very disturbing. I know that's the point, like I know it's one of the most disturbing films of all time. I don't know, I just felt like gross after watching it, which is not a negative of the film, it was very effective. But again, if you put that aside, very interesting, like satire, especially the ending. I guess I won't spoil it. But the ending is really like poignant, like kind of, it ended and I was like, wow. And I kind of just, sat there and thought about it for a while. Yeah, it has so much poignant imagery and so many moments that stick with you, both a lot of them in a horrible way. And in terms of like just filmmaking, like it'd be an excellent film to analyze in the storytelling and the visuals and, oh man. Yeah, but very messed up movie. Very messed up, but great. And I look forward to watching more of his films. Are you excited for The French Dispatch? Absolutely. The new Wes Anderson film. Yeah, I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I've started going through his films that I haven't seen yet. I've watched Rushmore recently. I love The Grand Budapest Hotel is fantastic. And a bunch of his other films I love. And yeah, it's just a treat when he puts out a movie. It feels like you're watching a legacy sort of being formed, I guess, of like a fantastic director, and to get to see that sort of in real time and go to the cinema and see it, that's going to be awesome. So very excited. And it's got a great cast, looks interesting. Yeah, I'm hyped. Someone else posted an MCU tier list. I guess I've kind of started the tradition of just, people, post your tier list and we can talk about what we agree and disagree with. I definitely have Iron Man 3 higher, personally, but otherwise pretty similar, I suppose. I'd probably have Ant-Man lower and probably Homecoming higher. But yeah, interesting. Bo Burnham's new Netflix special, Inside. In the last Reddit video, you talked about Bo Burnham and you hadn't seen much of his stuff. I highly recommend his new Netflix special, Inside. I've heard nothing but stuff like that about the Bo Burnham special. I will try to check it out. How do you judge a movie? Whether you got what you wanted from it or whether it succeeds at what it's trying to do? That's a really good question. What I try to do, and what I think is what you should do, is judge a movie on what it's trying to do, generally. Because what you want from it isn't really, how would the filmmaker know that? I guess this isn't really what you mean, but like a horror film, for example, like I saw A Quiet Place 2 recently, didn't enjoy it, didn't enjoy watching it at all, but I know it's a great film and it really succeeded for what it was going for, which is to be creepy and terrifying. I just don't like that. But I don't think that's exactly what you mean. Then again, also, there is a point you can make in a review of saying like, the base premise of this film, or like the theme it's going for, or whatever, like the thing it's going for, I didn't think was good for this reason, or I didn't enjoy for this reason, or I think was misguided, or whatever. So I think you can have elements of both, but I think you should try to judge it more on whether it succeeds at what it's trying to do, because I guess that's more fair. But of course you sometimes slip up, and also it's a mix of both, I guess. Cool fact about the Shang-Chi movie, it's shot by Bill Pope, the guy who shot a lot of Edgar Wright stuff and the Matrix trilogy. Second unit director is Brad Allen, who is also the stunt coordinator for Wright Films and Kingsman. Wow. I think that definitely lends to the hope that it will be the best action we've seen in the MCU. Again, from this, I'm hoping for what Iron Fist wasn't, basically. Like crazy, epic martial arts sequences. Some of the shots in the trailer look like it's shot a little bit more interestingly, I suppose, than some other MCU films. Can't wait for Shang-Chi. It's pretty close, actually, which is kind of surreal, because we haven't gotten Marvel films for so long, and now there's like one every 2 months. Have you seen any Netflix originals? Stranger Things, Outer Banks. So what do you think? Outer Banks is really good. I've not seen Outer Banks. I have seen Stranger Things. I think I might not have seen the most recent season. I thought it was good. I didn't get like the insane hype around it. I didn't get repetitive, but it got a little monotonous after a while. Like I know exactly what's happening here. But I don't know, I enjoyed it when I watched it, so maybe I'll get back to it. I believe this is a Netflix original. BoJack Horseman. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Extremely funny, dark, mixing tones beautifully, and just the weirdest yet most brilliant show I think I may have ever seen. And I'll put up some on the screen right here if I can think of more while I'm editing this. Again, sorry about my voice. I realize I sound like Christian Bale Batman a little bit here, but it is what it is. FTK Gaming will always prevail. Yes, this is a meme courtesy of Kian from the Pod fan page. FTK Gaming being the channel of my podcast compatriot, Frederick, which I will say is I believe the #1 gaming channel on YouTube. Most anticipated Warner Brothers same-day release movie. Damn, Space Jam got absolutely murdered here. It's between the Suicide Squad and Dune for me. I guess I'd go with the Suicide Squad because James Gunn, it's more of an established property that I know. Like, I'm not really familiar with Dune, but I'm still extremely excited for Dune. Quick reminder here that if you're enjoying this video, drop a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on this video below. Thoughts on YouTubers and TikTokers' influence on boxing. I mean, to be honest, I think the only YouTubers that I don't think any TikTokers have influenced boxing, because I mean, that YouTubers versus TikTokers event will not have any influence. That was influenced by something, and that something is KSI, Logan Paul, and Jake Paul. It's not like it's anything new. Like, celebrity fights have always been a thing. They've definitely elevated it to a new level. To be honest, this isn't really, like, how it's influenced boxing, but I do think it's just cool to see, because I watched the first KSI Joe Weller fight live, like, on YouTube when it was out there for free. And so I followed this thing, like, from the very beginning. And so to see it now involving Floyd Mayweather and UFC champions and stuff, it's just ridiculous and kind of hilarious when you step back and think about it. But I think it's had an influence on marketing and self-marketing especially. Fighters are kind of figuring out more, like, you want to make a show, you want to make a character or someone people care about to see your fight, whether that's, like, good or not. I feel like that's the influence it is having. Like, you see people like Ryan Garcia, you know, having his social media influence, although he was doing that a little bit before as well. But, like, others kind of trying to do that. And I mean, they've definitely had an influence in the sense that everyone is talking about them. Fair enough, like, every UFC fighter has probably said the words Jake Paul before.
These guys are... You're getting me talking about this fucking guy again.
I think once one of them loses really badly, I think that'll kind of scratch the itch for a few people. And by the way, I love the YouTube, like, boxing thing. Like, again, I mean, I made a video about it. I've been following it forever. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think it's a fun storyline to get involved in. And now that I'm a fan of, like, actual fighting, if I were to put it like that, I can understand why, like, real fighting fans, like, hate it. It still has a place in my heart. I watched the YouTubers versus TikTokers, you know, it was fun, it was a good time. But, like, that event was a little bit of, like, even more so I could see, like, yeah, this would annoy people, like, these, like, kids trying to act like they're, like, tough fighters. But the plus side is, you get to see them get beat up, you know? Like, if someone says something really annoying, bonk, you know? It's great, and I think Jake Paul's day is coming for that, to be honest. I don't know if it's with Woodley, I hope so. But, that is also a wonderful thing about combat sports, which I've actually, like, I realized I've started getting, like, frustrated with in my real life, because in combat sports, when someone annoys you, more likely than not, there's a clip of them getting knocked the hell out, you know? And so if someone annoys me, like, on a TV show or something, or, like, a YouTuber or something, I'm like, man, this person's really annoying. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but there's not a clip of this person getting just knocked out, you know? So there's that, like, satisfying thing. And it's just fun to see people, like, you know, fight. It's fun to see people, you know, like, compete, but fighting is such, like, an entertaining, one person's better than the other kind of rivalry sort of thing. I don't know, I've gone off on a bit of a rant here, but their influence on boxing, I think it's definitely had an impact. It's had a huge impact on boxing. I think it may start winding down in the next maybe 2 years, this whole YouTuber TikTok boxing thing. Like, I think it'll get oversaturated. I think people might get bored of it. I think Jake and Logan Paul will have lost a couple of fights and people won't be as interested. But it's definitely made a ton of noise in the sport, and it's also brought a lot of people into the sport. Now I'm, like, a huge UFC fan. Like, I also follow boxing a bit more casually, but that all started from KSI and Logan Paul, because from that I remember I started like seeing stuff about Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, and then from that I got into, like, the whole Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder thing, because that fight was coming around, and then there was a McGregor fight, and, you know, I'd heard of all these people, but, like, I started kind of getting more into it. And then as time went, I remember, I think Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje was the first, like, fight that I watched, like, properly for the first time, like, kind of knowing people involved, because I also watched True Geordie, which came from KSI and Logan Paul. So, like, it has a ripple effect. Believe it or not, when people say, like, they're bringing nuance to the sport, they are. I'm one of them, you know? KSI and Logan Paul started that trickle-down effect, those dominoes, of me then slowly getting into where I'm now watching every single UFC card every weekend. So yeah, I do think overall, despite the annoyingness, I think it has a positive influence. Made some tier lists. Wanted to see what some of your thoughts were. I don't wholly agree with this. Again, I do feel like Iron Man 3 is a bit underrated, and Spider-Man Homecoming I would put a bit higher. Star Wars, Attack of the Clones at the bottom. For me, on this one, I would put Return of the Jedi higher, not Empire, the Revenge of the Sith a little lower, and maybe Last Jedi one lower. And also, I really, really enjoyed Force Awakens, to be fair. That's one of my favorite Star Wars films. Pixar movies, that's, I mean, it's not my personal picks, but I can't, I can't agree too much. Like Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., Up, those are, like, the top of the top for me. I'm not a huge Toy Story guy, and honestly, my favorite Toy Story is Toy Story 2, which is also not up there. Also, haven't seen Onward. Harry Potter books and movies, I guess? I remember loving the books, but I can't remember, like, distinctly which ones I love more than the others. It's been a while since I read them. I mean, I like all of the Harry Potter movies. I don't love 7 Part 1. I'm not crazy about Fantastic Beasts 2. or 1, but definitely not Fantastic Beasts 2. Fantastic Beasts 1 is fine. Also, I seem to be the only person who enjoyed reading The Cursed Child. I can't remember at all what it was about or why I liked it, but I remember reading it, I was like, this is kind of cool. So, I guess I'm a disgrace to the Harry Potter fandom. My tier list of MCU, yeah, this is pretty close to mine, I would say, with some changes. By the way, just for the record, when I say that, I'm just, like, comparing it to mine. I'm not saying, like, it should be closer to mine. Like, I'm not saying, like, yeah, this is a solid tier list, but it's not good enough, because it's not close to mine. You know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just comparing it to mine, because that's my kind of, like, point of comparison, and yeah, it's just interesting to look at. And it's a fun community here on the Reddit. It's not just for me, it's also people, like, in the comments are talking about it and stuff, and it's a fun community, so yeah. Post stuff. What is the most overhated, underrated superhero movie? I really like X-Men The Last Stand and don't understand the hate it gets. I'm not a fan of X-Men The Last Stand, particularly. But, Far From Home gets a lot of hate. Spider-Man 3 also has, like, good stuff in it, and if you just took out a few things, it'd actually be a pretty good movie, but I don't think it's great. And Suicide Squad also is not very good, but I don't know, I find it entertaining at least. Like, some superhero movies are just boring, and you just don't want to watch them. Like, I watched Suicide Squad multiple times, because it is, even though it's not a very good movie, I did enjoy watching it, I guess. Like, it does pass the time in a way, so I guess I'd say that. I mean, but I do understand the hate it gets, and I don't really like it, but I think it's a bit overly hated, I guess. But not a great film. I mean, I've also made jokes about it, because it's not a great movie. Also, those original Fantastic Four movies, they can be kind of fun a little bit, in a cheesy kind of way. What's the least incredible Russo Brothers MCU movie? Yeah, I really enjoy Civil War. But of these 4, like, for me, I would rank these from best to worst. Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War. They're all great, but I just think, yeah, Civil War, it has a little bit of dead air in it sometimes, has a couple of funny moments in the plot. By funny, I mean kind of weird, and the tonal switches can be a little jarring sometimes, but it's a great film. MCU tier list, oh my god, okay, I cannot, okay, I can't look through all of this, but I will say, I see you have Justin Hammer in C tier, and I'm not okay with that. But yeah, interesting, maybe I should do this kind of video sometime, MCU characters ranked, that could be kind of fun. And then MCU movies, yeah, I would put Captain America a little higher, Ant-Man Wasp a little lower, but cool stuff. What is the most underrated Tom Cruise movie? I love Mission Impossible 3. I think that's a solid movie, just a little bit forgettable for me, or not forgettable, but just doesn't stack up to the other Mission Impossible films for me, like 4, 5, and 6. I mean, it's not really underrated, but A Few Good Men is amazing. I just feel like some people haven't seen that, but it did win some Oscars, I believe. But that's genuinely one of my favorite films of all time. You know what? American Made, one of his more recent films, that one's a bit underrated. That one kind of flew under the radar. Pun intended, I guess, because planes. But that was a really good film. Doug Liman, I think. Yeah, well made, funny, dramatic. Good movie. Great vids. What are your thoughts about my uncle? Let's see, your uncle? Huh. I guess I'll blur his face because, like, privacy or something. It's a decent picture. I just wish he would let us know what his political leanings are a little bit more. This is a bit of a minefield of things to say. I don't want to insult your uncle or anything, but let's just skip this. What am I, an uncle reviewer? Why has this come up on the Reddit? Not what I would wear. I'll put it like that. But anyway, thoughts on the Knives Out 2 cast? Crazy cast, epic cast. It's kind of like Murder on the Orient Express, and the new one also has like a big cast. I like these movies where they just get an ensemble with a big cast and everything. Yeah, great stuff. Let me just see real quick. Catherine Hahn, Dave Bautista, Ethan Hawke, Janelle Monáe, Edward Norton, Jessica Henwick. Yeah, I mean, tons of people I didn't even mention. Looks like a fun, great cast. Can't wait to see what the premise is. I saw a set photo of Benoit in like a little sweater. Great stuff. Genuinely can't wait for that film. Is that coming out 2022? I think so. That's my most anticipated film of that year, probably, at the moment. Have you seen Auntie Donna's Pickle House of Fun? I think we talked about this before. Yeah, still on the famed list. I've not seen it yet, unfortunately. England versus Denmark. Score predictions. England 0-1. Denmark, Fidalgaard, 90th minute winner. I'm not familiar with a lot of football terms, but I did watch the Euros this year, and by watch them, I mean I watched the Danish games. And yeah, no, this has aged poorly, unfortunately. It looked really good there for a second, and then I don't want to say we got screwed, because I don't know anything about football, so I don't want to be that guy who's like, yeah, we should have won that, actually. But, there was something about a laser pointer and something about a ball on the pitch or something. They're investigating it. I don't know. You know what? Denmark won. Boom. Changed my mind. All the English fans just getting absolutely furious right now. Yeah, no, it was a good game, I guess. Football's not really my thing, but I'll watch it for the Danish pride, because Denmark's awesome, and, I love the Danish team. But, yeah, unfortunately, but congrats to England, I guess, even though your fans suck in the stadium. Booing whenever Denmark had the ball, booing during our national anthem, like... yeah, not super cool. But anyway, and also to make it that far was really cool, especially after the horrible Question X thing. Would have been nice to win it, but it was great to make it that far. What is the best comic book movie? X-Men First Class is my favorite. That is a great comic book movie. Avengers is my personal favorite. First Class would be up there. Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, I really like. Winter Soldier and Guardians are also high on the list. And Days of Future Past. That would probably be my short list off the top of my head. Also, Kingsman, I guess, is a comic book movie. That would also be up there. Thoughts on DC shows? I know it's been a hot minute since you watched any of these shows, but do you think you can do a review on Titans, Doom Patrol, Stargirl, Superman, and Lois in the near future? If I watch them, I'll review them. I'll put it like that. I genuinely do have an interest in watching Titans, because it just fascinates me how I thought it looked so bad, and apparently at least the first season is quite good. I've also heard good things about Doom Patrol, Stargirl, and Superman and Lois. Not that I've heard bad things about them, just don't really pique my interest as much. Spoiler warning for Black Widow's post-credit scene. I have seen Black Widow, so I am able to watch this. Oh, man. Well, yeah, I mean, basically, it is the entire American Pie segment from the chair model episode. Hey, an Office and MCU crossover, what's there not to love? Good meme. I'll upvote that. I've totally forgotten to upvote stuff, by the way, so don't take me not upvoting it as, like, I hated it, for the record. How good was Black Widow, speaking of which? Yeah, again, I'm filming this before I've made my review, but I'm assuming it's coming out after. Yeah, I would say good. I would fall in the good camp, although better than expected, as I talked about. Most anticipated upcoming Marvel Disney Plus show. You know, I feel like She-Hulk could be a bit of a surprising one. From everything I've seen about that character, it's such a unique character that, like, when you first hear, like, She-Hulk, there's so many aspects to her that you wouldn't expect. Like, she breaks the fourth wall, a bunch of different things. I don't know, I feel like that one could be really interesting. Kind of Loki-esque in a way, where it's more unique and takes some more risks and is more, like, creative. But I do get Moon Knight being the highest, and I think that might be the one for me, because it's a cool character. It feels like Daredevil, it feels like another Daredevil coming up. I've actually read a Moon Knight comic, which, I know I'm not the biggest comic guy I've talked about before, but a friend of mine lent me a comic, and I was like, it looks pretty interesting, I'll give it a read. I like comics when I do read them, and yeah, I'm very interested to see that character, cinematically, or TV, adequately. And also I feel like people are excited because it has vague Daredevil vibes, and Daredevil was so good, so to see something in that vein, that's pretty exciting. Would you watch Iron Man 3 at Christmas? Let's settle the debate. I would, and I have twice for 2 different Christmases. So, boom, dropping the mic in the debate. I mean, you don't have to, but there is something kind of weird to me about watching a movie set at Christmas in summer. It just feels, I don't know. It doesn't feel wrong, but it just feels weird. When I'm watching something and I see a big old Christmas tree in front of the White House, I want to be like, hey, I see also a big old Christmas tree in my living room. So, it's not the Christmassiest movie, but yes, I have watched it twice at Christmas. I mean, not on Christmas Day, but, in the Christmas season. Best Disney Plus show? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have recency bias. I think it'd be Loki. I think all of these are quite good, and then they have some flaws, all different flaws. I think Loki and WandaVision are the ones for me up there so far. Tafaz was very good, just didn't stick with me as much. WandaVision, I thought was so fun, especially the second episode, for about half of it at least. And the rest of it wasn't terrible. That I gotta put that pretty high, even though I was disappointed with the ending. And Loki, I also really enjoyed, despite being disappointed by the ending, which, by the way, funny thing that everyone actually loved that ending. I was way out of the majority on that one, but that's fine. I think it's good that you can trust that I'll just, even if it's not the popular opinion, I'll say what I feel about something, And, thanks to everyone, even though that video got a few dislikes, that's all good. Most of the comments, most of them were disagreeing with me, but pretty much all of them were quite respectful about it. I can't really think of any that were, genuinely, hateful or anything. So, again, I appreciate that. I appreciate that we can disagree about stuff and just talk about it like normal people. It's really nice to have that kind of community here. So, yeah, cool. But, anyway, Loki was very good and very creative and fun, but I think I would probably rewatch WandaVision before Loki. I don't know, it's pretty close. I'm gonna say Loki, though. How does everyone feel about the Korg Deadpool crossover? Yeah, I saw this. They reacted to the Free Guy trailer. It was pretty fun. The usual kind of Ryan Reynolds jokes and fun. It wasn't the craziest video ever, but it was pretty enjoyable. And also just to see Deadpool interacting with an MCU character is pretty fun, and it sets up for, gets you excited for the future where we will be seeing him presumably interacting with lots more MCU characters, even if it's just for a small joke or something, but yeah, it was fun. Which undated DC movie are you most excited for? I know they have a bunch of movies that they're going to make, but I'm 90% sure that these will happen. Yeah, I feel like there was a period where DC just put out a million different titles, and then just like a lot of them just faded away. I felt like every day it was like a new, like, DC's making this movie, and then you just never hear about it again. But so these are the ones that you are confident will happen. It's not Wonder Woman 3 for me. Really was not a fan of Wonder Woman 1984, and was just kind of an average, okay fan of the first one. Like, I thought the first one was okay. I'm gonna say Zatanna, you know. I really like Zatanna as a character. I really enjoyed her episode and her various appearances in the Justice League animated show. That'd be a cool movie. I feel like there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with the magic there. It's a bit like Doctor Strange-esque, but more like, I don't want to say more cartoonish, but more traditional magic stuff, I guess, rather than like crazy laser magic, laser whips and stuff, and sparky whips that Doctor Strange has. That could be really fun if it's done well. My prediction for who dies in the Suicide Squad. Ooh, yeah, this is, I mean, to be honest, this is pretty much just a wild guessing game because anyone could die, which is what I'm very excited about in this film, is that, like, a lot of them are just going to have their heads blown up, and unlike the last one, I feel like it'll utilize that premise really well. They're definitely going to kill someone from the first film, because that, you know, we have more of an attachment to them, and like, I guess you would expect it less. I think Rick Flag is probably going to go. That's a good shout. Javelin, Thinker, whoever Michael Rooker is playing, I can't remember their name, and Polka Dot Man are going to be my strong guesses, although there definitely could be more. But that's who I'm putting out there. How important is scoring films? Very interesting question for like a movie reviewing channel. Personally, I think it's not important at all, really. That's not to say that it doesn't have its place. Like, I mean, then I wouldn't do it. But I 100% get and kind of agree with when I see movie review channels sort of say, like, I'm going to stop doing ratings because it's kind of stupid to take, like, I spent the past 10 minutes telling you everything I think about this film, and then people just boil it down to one number, and they're like, you gave it this number? Instead of, like, listening to the whole review. I get that, definitely. But I also get the other side, because I fall into this camp of, it's, as someone who sort of likes, like, ordering stuff and putting stuff on a scale, putting stuff in chronological order, all these kind of things, I like to have ratings. I like to have the movies rated on a scale. It's fun. It's a fun detail. It's not a necessity. It's fine if you don't do it, but I think it's fun to do. I just don't think you should read too much into it. Like, also, you shouldn't compare to other ratings that I've done before that heavily. Some of them are, like, comparing apples to oranges, so, like, if you rated a drama lower than a kid's film, like, they're completely different styles of film. One might be better made, but you just enjoyed the other one more for the genre it's in, or just enjoyed it more in general. There's so many, it's so hard to compare ratings as well, and also your way you rate stuff over time changes, the way you feel about a film changes, so I don't think you should be, like, held rock solid to that, like, one number. Opinions can also change, but more so, you shouldn't just single that out, and you should, you know, listen to the review, obviously. But I do think it's a fun thing to have in there. It is easy to look at and see, like, just like an overall conclusion in one scoring, and I do like that. So I see both arguments for it, but I'm gonna keep doing it because I do like it. Who's the most underrated superhero in the MCU? I'll start. Let's take a look at some of the answers here. War Machine, dude desperately needs a suit upgrade though. Hawkeye, one of my favorites, but also one of the most badass yet overhated characters. I don't know if Hawkeye's overhated anymore. He was definitely the butt of all the jokes back like when Avengers came out, but I think it's changed a little bit. Though they didn't do him any favors with the haircut. Ant-Man, very nice. Ant-Man! Maria Hill, Wanda, she nearly beat Thanos on her own. I don't know if this is in terms of like power level or in terms of how people feel about them just as a like character in a narrative. It's a bit tough to say an underrated character anymore because so many characters have gotten that like treatment of, you know, getting more screen time and getting more development and, you know, getting a Disney Plus show. Because I probably would have said Falcon, to be honest. I love Falcon. But now he's gotten his own show. He's Captain America. I don't know if you can call him underrated anymore. This might be a little out of left field. I'm going to go with Luke Cage because Daredevil, Punisher, and Jessica Jones get a ton of love in terms of the Marvel Netflix stuff, and Iron Fist gets all the, not so much love. And I feel like Luke Cage is a little bit forgotten about, but I mean, his seasons definitely weren't perfect, but the first season starts, like, the first 7 episodes are pretty spectacular, like, they're pretty amazing. And the second season is also very enjoyable. His character is very interesting. He deals with problems that aren't explored in, like, a lot of other superhero stuff, and that are quite specific to him in those seasons. I mean, of course, there is some of the generic superhero stuff, but generally I feel like there is more interesting nuance to that character than people maybe give it credit for. I don't know, like, not that people don't give credit to that show or that character, but I feel like he's not brought up as much as others because his seasons are a little more forgettable or more underwhelming compared to Daredevil, Jessica Jones. So I'll say Luke Cage, and a great performance from Mike Coulter. Yeah, sad we won't get to see him again. My X-Men tier list, what placements do you all agree with most? Well, I would definitely suggest watching Logan and Deadpool. Deadpool 2 is also pretty good, but definitely watch Logan and Deadpool. Not too far off from my own. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of The Last Stand, but I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I would probably have Apocalypse above. I'd definitely have it above Last Stand. Maybe even above X-Men 1. I don't know. They're pretty even for me. I know that's gonna be, like, ridiculous to some people. I really enjoy Apocalypse, alright? I know it has problems. I really like that movie. Apocalypse, it's not that bad, alright? It has some goofy stuff in it, and just some bad stuff. I like it a lot, and especially compared to like Dark Phoenix and stuff, it is so much better. Anyway, that's the Reddit for this week. In case you couldn't tell, this little segment here has been edited in later because it's taken me so long to get this video out for various reasons that I had to actually record an extra bit because there was new stuff on the Reddit. Anyway, that's not relevant. Let's go to the outro. God. Smooth. And also, can I just say I didn't mention at the start, almost 200 members on the Reddit. Let's go. And we do have 2 online as opposed to 0 online last time, so you know, that's something. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to be part of these videos, you want me to react to a post or answer a question, or you just want to engage in the Reddit community, you can post on r/BHLHudson, and I'll make these videos hopefully 1 a month, if not more than that. So, thanks so much for watching, thanks so much for posting on the Reddit. Be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson, check out this podcast that I do with a friend of mine where we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. It's called The Poorly Planned Podcast, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.